Welcome to the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. Roundtable, little bit of a rectangle today, although we do have the inanimate Michelle Batura with us.
He's looking very somber.
He is somber. We must not be talking about resources. Wait a minute.
No, we are.
We are talking about resources.
He's just being incredibly stoic right now. He's exploding on the inside.
Yes. Are you making us anything today to eat or to ingest in any form, way?
Yeah, I'm just admiring Chris's Slurpee and hoping that and wishing that I had done the same thing.
Fun fact, if you really want to fuck up the 7-Eleven guy, fill the Slurpee a third of the way up with Slurpee, and then 2/3 of the way up with Big Gulp, and then put it down with a Big Gulp top on in the Slurpee cup. Dude doesn't know what to charge you for.
Wow.
There we go. A little convenience store brain bender for all of you.
Brain bender. We are going to be talking about Falcon Gold. Actually, we are talking about Falcon Gold. It is on the TSX Venture Exchange, Toronto Venture Exchange. FG Venture Exchange. They're out of Vancouver. It's Karim Rayani is the CEO. And Chris loves these guys, I think. And we'll be talking about them, and then we'll getting into it. See how much money we're going to spend on Falcon Gold today.
Falcon Gold. All right, so what can I say about Falcon Gold I haven't said many times before? It is a $10 million market cap mining explorer. That market cap is absurdly low, but it is about a triple on where we started out. When we first started talking about Falcon Gold, I think it was legitimately the cost of a Burnaby 2-bedroom. Now, since then, the company has somewhat increased its holdings. Let me just read you through the projects. In British Columbia, they've got claims in Merritt and Central BC. In Ontario, they're in Central Canada Gold and Polymetallic Project. Springpole, West Property, the Burton Property in Newfoundland. They've got another 3. The Ganderstone, the Great Burn, and the Golden Brook, and they've got property, the Esperanza Gold Silver Copper Project in Argentina, and the Vienna's property in Chile. So if that makes you think, wow, that's a lot of gold properties for a $10 million market cap, you're starting to understand my point. What the company is really into is its Central Canada flagship property, which to say it borders the Agnico Eagle property up there, it would be to understate it. Maybe Galen, if you want to throw on the front page of the Falcon website, you can see the map. There's Agnico Eagle, and basically the outline of that map is Falcon property. So anywhere that Agnico goes and says, hey, you know what, we'd like some more of this property that we're having great fun with 3.3 million ounces of gold on, basically the first call they're going to make is to Falcon or Marvel Discoveries, which is kind of a Falcon brother company spin-off. The company's run by Karim Biani. Karim is the sort of cat that normally has 8 or 10 deals going at once, right? He's one of those market guys that is constantly down there at Cactus Club or Joe Forte's, and if you bump into him and say, what are you up to? I got a brand new property, I got another thing, I got 7 things, I got 8 things, I got 25 things. You want a 1967 Ford Escort? You want it in red or blue? I've got something for you, you know? One of those guys. But a couple of years ago, he decided, enough of making other people rich. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to put all of these deals that I have together into one thing. And then when they're ready to spin off, I'm going to spin them out into other deals. So as a Falcon Gold shareholder, I invariably wake up some mornings and find that I'm actually a shareholder in another company entirely. And that's because Karim's got up in the morning, acquired a cheapy gold property, and then spun it off into a new deal. So Marvel Discoveries, the other company that's kind of works alongside these guys, much the same thing. Every day they seem to find themselves in a new property. Every other day they find a way to monetize those properties or spin them out into new deals. I'm not going to tell you that anything that Falcon is going to do is going to be a fully fledged production anytime soon. That's not the deal. This is a phase 1 company, right? This is a company that finds a cheap property that has some promise. Maybe it's next door to someone who's actively working and moving to production, but it's always just inexpensive but worth more than they're paying. And that either becomes something they can flip, something they can work, or something they can spin off into another company entirely. So you end up with a lot more shares and a lot more things than you started out with. That's what these guys have said they are from the start. That's what they continue to do. I'd go through the technicals, but what technicals of how many properties? Like, how long do I have? I'd be here all freaking day. So, if you're looking for a company that's going to do like Gold Mountain, which is quickly move towards small production, this ain't that, right? It's not that kind of deal, which is why it's only a $10 million market cap. But what it is a deal that is constantly moving. If there's a hot sector within mining, guaranteed that these guys are going to find something that they can apply to that and either focus on it, grow the share price, or flip it and grow the cash balance. It's a pretty simple proposal, and I think we've been talking about it for 2.5, 3 years, and it's never disappointed in that time.
Galen, you're not quite the maniac that Vishal is when it comes to resources, but you're not far off.
You could call me a gold bug. Sure. I'll fly by that description. And because I believe it's a viable commodity, it isn't fucking Bitcoin. Now, gold is in a tremendous position right now, even though it has devalued somewhat over the last day or so. It's come down another $9.16, but that means it's still at $1,900 or $1,986 and change, and is going to travel over that $2,000 barrier, probably well above the 2,000. It may even touch 22, which would mean it would hit all-time highs. Considering this thing was less than $200 an ounce back in 1973, that's a tremendous valuation change over that time period when we sort of disconnected the old dollar from the gold standard. Now, if you're looking, as I said, at the cryptocurrencies and other types of speculative assets, you're going to see climbs of 4,000 and 5,000% over a day. In fact, sometimes, but this is the slow and steady. This is the tortoise versus the hare. It's got long lasting sustainability, and will continue to do so in the world that we're seeing being created by, Russia's recent activity in the Ukraine and other types of geopolitical pressures. People are going to start running to a hard commodity that they can trust, and gold is that. Now, if you're wanting to get into the sector, there are a few options for you depending on your risk profile. Now, you can start out with the royalty streamers. These are the kids that are playing with the majors. They've already got revenue coming through the door, and they do the due diligence for you. You don't necessarily have to get your feet wet. You don't have to be exposed to exploration costs, which can be quite pricey, and also the risk of failure, which is quite great within this industry. There's an old adage where a gold company is merely a guy standing in the midst of an empty pit going, I've got gold, guys. Come take a look, right? So Falcon sits on the, as Chris said, the early stage scale. These guys, you can call them prospect generators, but not necessarily. They're a little more active than that. They're not just grabbing properties, hoping somebody else is going to take a slice of what they own. They are doing some work, and they have actually done some work at the Central Canada property, which has produced some pretty phenomenal results, although you would have to admit that they are fairly preliminary because we're talking grab samples here, and there are some drills going in. Drills have been intercepting 20.5 grams per ton gold at intervals, and these numbers are actually quite high considering what a typical mine will produce these days, which is around 4 grams is actually something you start to bring to market. Well, even at 1 gram, but you have to have a really big open pit for that kind of stuff. But 20.5, that's pretty cool, depending on where it is and how much of it you can mine. Their grab samples have gone as high as almost 80 grams a ton gold, which is fairly fantastic and was only really known in the days of the gold rushes back in the 1800s. Sorry, the early 19th century. Now, the property that they're on in central Canada has been poked at since the beginning of the 19th or the 20th century. So it's been around for a while. People are well familiar with it. The geology isn't unfamiliar. And as Chris mentioned earlier, Agnico Eagle has made quite a big discovery there. And these guys are almost right on top of it. So if you're wanting to get into a growth potential company, because that's basically what this is, that has an opportunity of high growth within the share value because they can slice something off and either sell it to another major or spin it off into its own company or go into a JV. That's a real good opportunity here. Be reminded, but this is the same way it is with everybody in the industry, that there's a higher risk factor here, and you've got to really be careful that you can afford to, quote unquote, lose. The company itself, however, is in a position with the properties that it has that it probably isn't going to get much cheaper than it is, considering that it may be able to just sell off its assets and retain its market cap. So, it's not necessarily too much of a gamble, or as much of a gamble as you would consider other prospect generators to be, that are really just sort of got properties that may or may not produce anything. These guys are in a little better position, and as Chris said, Rayani is a deal-making monster. So there'll be more stuff to come. Yeah, I as far as the little guys are concerned, I like this opportunity. It is a growth opportunity and one that involves risk, but as long as you do your due diligence, talk to your investment professionals, then you may want to get your feet wet with these guys.
We're not going to go crazy deep, but if Chris can punch up the chart for FG on the venture exchange, we'll just take
that'll be me. Just
that'll be you.
Hold on a second.
Sorry, you punch it up. Chris will talk about it. It won't go the deep tech like we do with VV, but we'll take a look at this thing and see how it looks. By the way, we will be back talking about Falcon Gold and Marvel again in the next fortnight. And I don't mean the video game. I mean the English reference to 2 weeks. We'll come back to these guys again. And
Commonwealth reference. Thank you.
What Gold is doing and what Falcon Gold is doing. But there it is, Chris. And we'll take a quick glance at what's been happening.
Yeah, well, look, it's basically a sound wave, this stock chart. It's that rare thing where it comes in like the mighty Mississippi. High tide, low tide, high tide, low tide. If it's down today, it's going to be up tomorrow. If it's up tomorrow, it's going to be down the next day. Realistically, it's a trade. It's not like thinly traded, so it's not going to move on your purchase necessarily. But this is a company that the guys behind it are regular buyers of the stock. If it does go down to a certain point, they do support it, and as far as I know, have been doing so for the last few years. So that's a sign of confidence in the company from the company. There's enough liquidity here, enough trading volume that you can get out of your position without killing yourself, which a lot of gold explorers on the young side, on the low market cap side, that's not the case. And realistically, I don't know that there's necessarily a piece of news that's going to come out of this company in the next 2-3 months that's going to take it to 28 cents. That's just not really the way this one works. The way it works is it just builds. It builds out what it owns, and somewhat strangely hasn't necessarily built out the market cap in a comparative way. So for me, there will be a time where one of these projects, at least, that this company has picked up over the last few years, will get flipped to somebody else for decent sized money, and the market will realize that the total should be worth more than the individual parts. I think that I've had this stock, for about a good 9 months, I think, and I haven't looked at selling it just because it's just, to me, I'm not a trader. I don't try and get in and out on the same day or the next day. I just buy when I think something is inexpensive, and I think Falcon Gold is genuinely not only inexpensive, but with the CEO's propensity for taking assets and flipping them into new deals, which then the present owners of the company wake up one day and find themselves as shareholders of another company. You can call that a dividend if you want, but I like it as an appreciation of value. Appreciation.
That's nice.
Getting old and I'm losing my voice. I like the fact that the CEO is all in on this thing. It's not going to be one of those deals that one day just isn't there anymore. He's using this as his legacy. He wants to build Falcon to be the center of a universe of other companies, and I dig it. So if we were looking at allocations of dollars, I can tell you not what I would do, but I can tell you what I have done. And that is whenever it's low, like it was a couple of months ago, I buy. And when we talked about it a couple of months ago, what happened? Within the month, it had gone from 6 cents, 5.5 cents to 9.5 cents. So, when I say that it's a trade, if that's your GM, then this company is well equipped to give you something interesting to look at.
So how much are you dumping?
I think I just sort of dump on an ongoing basis. I think when it was down 5.5, 6 cents, I picked up about 10 grand's worth. So
Okay, so 7,500 then.
If I'm using Rob's money, I think right now it's probably on an upswing. It's sort of leveled off at about 9 cents.
Yeah.
If it drops back down to 6 or 7, I'd throw another few thousand at it. If it stays up at 9, I might put 1. But I'm looking for value opportunities, and there's enough volume on this thing that those opportunities present themselves on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. Looks like it's trying to push up a little bit here in the last 2 weeks.
I would say if it pushes through 10 cents, then it might have some real rise to it. But there are certainly people that I think get in there on the cheap. 5.5, 6 cents. There's probably a bunch of people that bought in at that point thinking it was a decent deal. And now that it's at 9 cents, anytime it goes over, they probably take a profit on that. You're almost up 100%. Once those people have churned out, then maybe it's got less resistance.
So $1,000 right this moment.
I put him down for 3. I made him optimistic.
All right. What do you got, Galen?
Well, first off, I'll just explain where Vishal stands. He's looking at this as it's in a range, and he's waiting for it to hit the bottom of the range, which would be 8 cents, I should say. And when that hits there, he'll probably buy in, I would think, for this company, just because I know him so well, at about $2,500. And he would wait to see how this is going to trail for the next few days after that, or the next few months after that. And he'll probably trade on it a little bit because he's that type of guy. So
if you look back over July, August, September of last year, you can see that the swings were wild, right? It went from like 9 cents to 12.5 cents, back down to 9 cents, back up to 12.5 cents, back down to 9. Like, clearly there are people who make good money on this stock. I don't think you want to be necessarily timing them and thinking that you're going to guess where the next rise or fall is going to come. But certainly if it goes beneath 7.5 cents, I think the CEO himself will be going in and grabbing more stock.
Yeah.
There you go. And as far as I'm concerned, somebody else's money. I am a value investor. If I throw money into this, I'm looking at the long term, and I think probably $3,000.
All right.
Yep, I'm gonna make that happen. Hold on a second. I got it. Sorry, I just bumped Vishal up to $3,000. I don't want to do that. I'm putting me up to $3,000. There we go.
I'm going to give you the Mussolini impressed look.
Nice. I like that. Good.
So spending money with 2 different approaches, trading it and value investing on Falcon Gold, which is FG on the venture exchange with Kareem Riani out of Vancouver, British Columbia. We will be revisiting these guys very soon. We'll be talking about Marvel discoveries as well in the next couple. It'll be kind of fun to jump back in this in the not so distant future to see where that number is at.
Yeah, and that other corner where Vishal is sitting so quietly right now will be alive and kicking.
Oh my God, he'll be excited. In the meantime, do your own homework, do your own research. Past performance does not guarantee future results, nor does anything that we just told you. I mean, it's smart and all that, and it's good and all that, and it's informative and all that, but you still need to do your own homework, people, so do it. And we'll see you on the next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.